You know what rhymes with beauty? Ford GT40. Hey everyone, this is Suresh from Mind is a Monkey coming at you guys with another episode of Let's Check Out Some Diecast. In today's video, we are going to be checking out the latest Ford GT40 RLC offering from Metal Creations slash Hot Wheels. And this is one stunner of a model. I'm super happy, super pumped that I've been able to get my hands on this. So I can't wait to kind of like open it up and check it out on the channel with you guys. Now, in addition to the spotlight of today's video being on that Hot Wheels Ford GT40, I also brought along a couple of releases from Autoworld. I think these may have been released in March of 2025, so sometime earlier this year. So, and then I also brought along a fourth Ford GT40. However, this is the 1965 Ford GT40 Mark 1, and this is from the more recently popular Majorette premium editions, and this is wave 2. So without further delay, let's dive right into it. Okay, so let's get this opened up. All right, there we have it. So there's this carton that opens up to reveal the acrylic, the case containing the acrylic packaging. Okay, now it says a Ford official licensed product and everything, Goodyear for deco, and Ford for the licensing. Hot Wheels Ford GT40 Mark II. Okay, Metal Creations, Redline Club. Uh, I like preserving these cardboard boxes because they come super handy when I'm like moving or putting them in storage or something like that. So very nice. So I mean, I think uh, this is called a slipcase. So it's a pretty beautiful vintage retro vibes, in the graphics. All right. So super duper slipcase, and it also features some cool writing. But I mean, let's check out the art first. Ford GT40 Mark II Hot Wheels, and I mean, it's like traveling at like a super speed, right? The lights and the lines are like blurring out, right? And very beautiful. So the number two inscribed on the panel there. Okay, Metal Creations, Redline Club, Ford GT40 Mark II. Imagine getting behind the wheel of a car where only 105 were produced. The Ford GT40 Mark II was limited in production but unlimited in race potential, proven true by its outstanding performance in the 1966 24 Hours of Le Mans, famously taking all three spots on the podium and solidifying itself as Ford's first win in this major European race. Powered by a 7-liter V8 NASCAR engine, this monster machine could hit speeds of over 200 miles per hour. Hot Wheels replicated this winner with true black Spectraflame paint, real riders' wheels, and authentic livery. Just like the life-size version, this RLC is limited in quantity but will still take first place on your podium. And it says 18 to 19 June 1966, right? So I guess that's the race days, which is basically, I think, the 24 hours. It's an endurance racing. Le Mans is an endurance racing. So, and that kind of like marks the dates. The race took place in 1966, which the Ford GT40 ended up, winning. All right. So, wow, check that out. A beautiful acrylic sturdy case. So Redline Club and Ford here, Ford GT40 Mark II. I forgot that I need screwdrivers to kind of like open this up. So I'm quickly gonna go grab one. Okay, I tend to be super clumsy about these things, so I kind of like went off camera and opened up the acrylic case. So that's step one. The casting is still kind of like screwed to the bottom, so that would be step two. But I kind of like wanted to check out the casting and appreciate it while it's there on that podium, right? So very very beautiful paint job, right? And those semi golden wheel hubs are adding a different level of accents to the entire paint scheme. All right, so it's a black body with silver stripes, the number two on the doors, the hood, and the rear. So the beauty of this particular casting is that it has an opening cowl, right? So I think that's kind of like possibly race car terminology for hatches. So it's cowl, cowl, right? So very very beautiful casting. And this was like at least 8 maybe 10 years ago. Hot Wheels had a line of premium vehicles called Auto Milestones, right? In that, this kind of like just stands a testimony to the fact that I've been a big fan of the Ford GT40 casting for as long as I can remember. In that Auto Milestones lineup, there was a Ford GT40. But when I kind of like just jogged my memory and I was like just looking at Wiki the other day, I figured that that was a different number though, right? Now, apparently this car with number two is the one that clinched the first spot in the 1966 Le Mans, right? So now let's check out this engine bay. Wow. I mean, the Hot Wheels side was saying that, oh, it kind of like houses the 7-liter V8 engine and all that, right? So pretty beautiful detail. All right, I think now is the time for me to kind of like unscrew it from the base and kind of like take a closer look. So the base says that Ford trademarks are used under a license to Mattel, and it's a Ford official licensed product and everything. All right, okay. Just a quick minute, and I'll get this up the base. Wow, had this been like a Instagram reel or something, it would have said a few moments later. Yeah, I kind of like had my struggles with that really tiny screws, but success, I prevailed, right? So I think funny aspect, um, you know, I thought this one had opening doors as well, right? So I was like searching for the picture the other day. It led me to eBay. Almost certain that I actually saw a model with opening doors, and that's what kind of like got me super pumped. I mean, I was pretty excited about this being a Ford GT40 and all. And I knew that this was like the more advertised part of the casting, like wherein the cowl is opening and revealing an engine bay. But that eBay picture, I could have sworn that that had like opening doors. I thought like, wow, that's insane, right? So that's kind of like a bummer. In my last Hot Wheels meet, I literally kind of like made that the selling point of this Ford GT40. I think I owe an apology to Jason. I think I gotta meet him at the next meet and explain myself. All right, sorry, Jason. Okay, so I know we checked out this earlier, but here it is in much more beautiful detail. So there is the V8 7-liter engine. All right, okay, and beautiful, very nice. I like how it aligns with the paint job and everything. So and the chassis is pretty simple, right? Not a lot of details there, but perhaps I think it being a race car and everything, that's how it's supposed to be, right? So from an aerodynamics perspective, right? And let's see. So I'm not able to get into a lot of the details on the inside of the car because this glass is actually tinted, right? So I'm not able to get a sneak peek into what's the real interior of the car. Okay. All right, so there we have the Ford GT40 Mark II, right? So there we have, yep, that's what it says on the casing too. Ford GT40 Mark II. And pretty cool. It rolls beautifully. Wow, like such a stunning piece. And I somehow kind of like, even though I unscrewed this for the video, I like keeping these cases, keeping these cars that come in acrylic cases inside the acrylic case. It's kind of like easier to display. I could just like put it on top of a shelf and stuff like that. All right. So there we have the Hot Wheels Metal Creations Redline Club release of the Ford GT40 Mark II. Now, like I said earlier in the video, I also brought along an AutoWorld 1:64 Ford GT, because always when I buy a different brand like AutoWorld, right? So when I buy it, I always feel that, hey, I mean, this is not the same size as a Hot Wheels, right? So I kind of like wanted to understand who did a better job with regards to accuracy when it comes to scale. So we will get to that in a bit. All right. So this one is a pretty beautiful 4GD casting with the number 9 on it. And AutoWorld, the nice thing about AutoWorld packaging is it always comes up with these nice facts. So for this packaging, it is 2 years before sweeping the podium at 24 Hours of Le Mans. There were originally 5 prototypes built in Coventry, England, to kick off the historic Ford GT40 racing program. The number 9 chassis, GT105, was the first GT40 to test the 289 CID V8 from the Ford Mustang, right? Now, that seems to be a fact which is like super specific to this particular casting, the number 9, right? So that I always love reading those facts about that specific casting that AutoWorld comes up with. So, for example, right, in this Gulf colors, right, in the 1960s, Gulf Oil became a major sponsor of the Ford GT40 program, which included the iconic blue and orange livery. The Ford GT40 Mark II was capable of top speeds just cresting the 200 miles per hour threshold, right? And now for a paint scheme, AutoWorld is referring to this as a prototype white and black, right? I'm so sorry, I did a poor job of opening it before, of ripping open the packaging before checking that out. So this one says prototype white and black, right? And this one says Gulf corporate blue and orange. Wow, pretty cool. And AutoWorld also says that this is true 1:64. So, let's check that out in a bit. All right, so this one sports Gulf colors, Gulf livery, and the number 11. All right, I always love the AutoWorld Ford GT cars. I just have one Ultra Red in Ford GT, and pretty much every other release, AutoWorld release of Ford GT. So that's pretty cool. Let's set that there. And up next is like the newest kid on the block, should we say? So this is Majorette or Majorette. I still haven't figured out how to correctly say it. Okay, so the Majorette car comes in its own plastic case of a package, right? All right, let me open that. And there we have the Mark 1, 1965 Ford GT Mark 1. Now, this is the 1966 Ford GT40 Mark II, all right, and this is the 1965 Ford GT Mark 1. So basically, the Mark 1 and the Mark II, I think it went up until Mark 4. These were modifications made to the basic car in order to kind of like accommodate various racing specifications, is what I understand. All right, so this one sports the year 25. Maybe that is just to commemorate that this was a release in 2025, right? Now, with regards to scale, you will find that this is pretty similar to the AutoWorld release, right? Now, well, for facts, right? If you want to call out the facts, I think the Ford GT40 Mark II had like a length of somewhere between 160 and 164 inches, right? Now, these are all marketed as 1:64 scale, so which kind of like puts the diecast dimension at approximately 2.5 inches, right? I actually took a ruler and measured this this was pretty accurate, spot on 2.5 inches, right? Which means that the Hot Wheels model is actually longer. Okay, let me just like put one exactly right in front of the other, right? So you would see that the Hot Wheels model is actually a tad longer. This is approximately, somewhere maybe 2.7, 2.8 inches, right? So I guess that is why Auto World kind of like boasts that its castings are true 1 is to 64. Hot Wheels, I think you can call it approximately 1 is to 64, right? So I think, I mean, personally, I don't have a favorite when it comes to Ford GT as to who did a better job, right? Obviously, this is like a brand new tooling with opening cowl and all that, right? So and a lot more details, and especially at that price point. But I have always been an equally big fan about the way Auto World executes its models too, right? So pretty much, it's not a competition. Pretty much all of these models are kind of like pretty close to my heart. So it's just that the scale really shows up distinctly only when you're like putting them side by side. But if you were to kind of like display these alongside other Hot Wheels cars and display these along other Auto World cars, you would not even kind of like perceive the difference, right? So that's the four GTs that we checked today. So definitely, I mean, this Ford GT40 is like a super awesome ad in the collection for me. So, what is your favorite release of Ford GT40 across any diecast manufacturer, right? Let's keep it in 1 to 64 scale, because I know that in scales 1 to 18 and larger, I think Auto Art kind of like makes the best diecast models out there. So let's just keep the scope of the discussion for 1 to 64. Who do you think makes the best Ford GT40s? I mean, share your thoughts in the comments. Until I meet you guys next time, this is Suresh signing off. Rock on and stay awesome. Bye, everyone.